I really hope that this is the last time we have to talk about Creepshow Art or Emily Artful, because quite frankly, I think everyone is just done with this situation. So, Emily Artful posted her response last night, addressing Creepshow Art, also known as Shannon, saying that she's just done. She's done, Shannon. So, without any further ado, I'm going to go through it, what she said, so that way, it was an hour-long video, so that way you guys, this is more of a breakdown of the video, point by point. So, without any further ado, grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's talk about it. Roll the intro. As always, I brought notes. Our first point is that she says Shannon's lawyer was meant as a scare tactic, which I full on agree with this. I think that Shannon thought that she was just going to send this threatening letter to Emily saying, you know, you have to delete your videos or else we're going to take you to court, you know. But the thing is, and Emily addresses this in her video, is that she says that it felt like they wanted her to just shut up about it because they said that she couldn't mention this. They wanted her to just, like, delete her stuff addressing Shannon or Anthony or any of this and then not mention it. Which is, I feel like that's wrong. I mean, if you have to delete something, you should be able to address why you did it, right? Emily then goes on to say that she thought that Shannon just kind of planned this out, that she was going to send this letter, and when Emily didn't give in, that was all Shannon had planned, was she was going to send this threatening letter, and that even this law firm, Emily shows that even this law firm that the letter was through, the threatening letter was through, they're more, like, determined to, you know, make things go away, is kind of how it feels. That this was just Shannon's plan, was to just send this threatening letter, and that was it. So when Emily did the unexpected in Shannon's eyes and didn't do what she wanted, that's when she kind of just went nuclear and posted this video. This 2-hour-long hit piece on Emily. And that's kind of where we're at now, is this response from Emily. Because she didn't give in to what Shannon and or Anthony wanted originally. She addresses the fact that in Shannon's video, Shannon was using her past as a teenager to kind of vilify and show that Emily's a bad person. But then in one of her own videos, somebody else pointed this out, in one of her own videos, Shannon said that we shouldn't be, you know, using the actions of children to determine who they are as an adult or what they're doing now because they're being kids. Emily points out that hypocrisy. This next point is really interesting, considering I didn't even realize this, but Emily points out the fact that Shannon might know a whole lot more than what she's leading on, even with this video that she made, this 2-hour-long hit piece. Considering the fact that in her video, she says that Emily couldn't have been doing well with Anthony because Anthony's against it. Well, how this is weird is that Emily never mentioned that she had even tried, if you catch my drift. She never mentioned trying it. She never mentioned trying, you know, sniff, sniff. I'm trying to be censored for YouTube. She never mentions it in her initial video, meaning that Creepshow saying, you know, sniffy, and not fun injecty time. I don't know. I don't know how to say it, you know. Herein. There we go. Heron. I'm going to say it that way. Instead of saying that substance, is a slip up on Shannon's part, and that has more, and that she probably has more info, because she never mentioned that she tried it, but the fact that Shannon mentions that instead of the other thing is kind of weird and odd, and yes, it is to me. So which is another thing in Shannon's video. Shannon never, shows anything, and this is something that Emily brings up herself, is that Shannon doesn't bring up anything that's recent to prove Emily bad, Shannon good. She doesn't show anything that's recent. I think the most early screenshot that Shannon shows is from like 2016. And that's a point that Emily brings up, is that nobody realized that. The next thing that she talks about is that Shannon in her own video shows the screenshots of conversations between Emily and Anthony, which therefore more proves her accusation against Anthony for R-wording her. So, I didn't even doubt that happened, because I always believe the victim. But that just showed even more that with Shannon proved it with more of her own video, which there's a lot of things that Emily discloses in this video that Shannon kind of gives evidence for in her own video. And that Shannon had just kind of twisted things to fit her own narrative. And you know how Shannon says in her video that, Anthony would never have done anything to you because, you were on stuff. When that he has this aversion to people that are on things because he has no tolerance for it. Well, Emily shows screenshots of conversations between her and Anthony even after he knew that she was having issues with things. Which debunks that whole lie told by Shannon. Next, Emily basically exposes Shannon for knowing about a username called Ranting and Raven, which was a username that she used for one of her old YouTube channels, but she never even put content on this YouTube channel at the time. So if Shannon had been looking, into this stuff after Emily's video on, this is what Shannon did, this is why I'm confident in Shannon. If Shannon hadn't been already, collecting evidence against Emily, why would she know about this username that just, she didn't even have for very long? And this was way before her video came out. So that's just showing more and more throughout this video that Shannon lied, that Shannon manipulated, and Shannon was definitely already looking into Emily and stalking her way before Emily came forward. Now we're getting into the interview that Emily had with Bob, her ex. The one ex that Shannon claimed was the one that made Emily go and cam. And within these snippets of the interview that she has with Bob, her ex, which she is now good friends with still, they both expose quite a few things about Shannon and her lies, including the fact that, how the whole wallpaper thing that Shannon, it really does show that Shannon was stalking Emily is by the fact that she recognized pillows, bedspreads, wallpapers from Emily's dad's house. Well, Bob discloses that, and Emily does disclose that Emily had been moving back and forth from her dad's house and slowly moving things into Bob's house, including these bedspreads, pillows, whatnot. And that, her living situation was in flux. She probably wasn't at her dad's, that she was probably, at Bob's at these times, or that it doesn't prove really that much, because the reason why Shannon brought this all up is to claim that Emily was lying about being homeless, that, oh, she wasn't homeless, I recognize that bedspread, I recognize those pillows, I recognize that wallpaper, she was at her dad's. So she couldn't have been doing what she said she was doing because of the wallpaper and the bedspreads. Well, actually, her living situation was in flux, according to her and Bob. He does say that, Emily's living situation was in flux. She didn't know whether her dad was going to allow her to stay or not, which is normal for parents that are dealing with kids having those types of issues. They kick their kid out and then they bring them in because they're scared of what those kids might be doing out there, with these kinds of issues. So, yeah, another lie of Shannon's kind of just debunked. Emily then states that it always seemed that Shannon and Anthony would strike when her life was starting to improve. And another thing that she talks about with Bob is the fact that she got this job, finally things were looking up for her. And then a client of the store had called and shared a compromising video of of Emily, and that's why the job had fired her. And it didn't seem like, these people, whoever, because at the moment, she didn't know who was stalking her. She didn't know who was harassing her. So, she didn't know that it was Shannon, but now it's, like, adding up that it was Shannon. That, like, her getting better is what angered Shannon and would cause Shannon to react to her in a negative light. Which, I really hope Shannon's getting therapy at the moment. I really do. I really hope Shannon's getting some therapy. Emily then addresses the Britta Filter account, which the Britta Filter account, giving you a brief summary, is the account that Shannon had claimed in her conversations with Emily had messaged Shannon. This account first had messaged Shannon and had said that they had all this stuff on Emily, including the bathtub video, the anime account that she had. And then this Britta Filter account messaged Emily saying that their 15-year-old brother had all this stuff against Emily, and that's why they were messaging her to let her know who it was and to kind of put things to rest, which Emily points out is just a whole lot of inconsistencies, because why would this account message Shannon first, claiming to have all this stuff, and then go to Emily with it? Emily really does state that it's a lot of projection from Shannon onto Emily. She would project a whole lot of things that Shannon did. Shannon would project a whole lot of things that she did onto Emily. And lastly, she says to Shannon that she is completely done. She's done with this, as well as I think the rest of the people involved are done. Most of the commentary community was friends or acquaintances with Shannon. I wasn't, because I'm kind of new to this whole thing as of like a year ago. So I don't have any, friends in high places like that. So, but she tells Shannon to just go ahead and sue her. If she really does have all these eyewitnesses that she claims she has, that to go ahead and sue her. Go ahead. If you really want to waste our money from our family, take money out of move food out of our family's mouths, money to pay our bills with, go ahead. Because she's just done. She's ready to just have this all done and over with. And I really hope that this is the end for Shannon and Emily, because Emily, one, doesn't deserve all this. She doesn't deserve to have her name dragged through the mud and then have to keep defending herself. It feels wrong to me that she has to keep doing this. And Emily seems like genuinely a good person. And nobody that has gone through what she has gone through should have to keep defending her past. Should have to keep defending herself. Saying, I was a shitty-ass person. I was a terrible person. I'm owning up to it. I'm accepting that. And then for Shannon to come and make this hit piece and being like, well, Emily had this obsession with her teacher when she was in high school or middle school. Here's all the proof. Here's all the cringy tweets. Like, no. So that's the rundown of Emily's video responding to Creepshow Art. If you liked this video, if you want more rundowns of things, let me know. Hit the like and the subscribe button. Hit all the buttons. Do all the things. Yeah, that's kind of it. I love you all, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.